Hello and welcome. I've got Andy Gray on the phone and he's going to tell us about Mars 365. So, how did you find out about it, Andy?
Well, I've been following the Mars One and the Mars Society, which is running this Mars Arctic 365, and I just happened to see the note saying they're looking for volunteers to go this year now, to go and set the foundation to actually live unsupported for a year and see if we can actually do it.
Yeah.
So I took a long shot and applied.
Excellent. I mean, because it's 900 miles from the North Pole, isn't it? I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. That's the whole idea of it. The site is on the Devon Islands in a 20-kilometre crater created by a meteorite. So it's completely isolated, and it's the closest we've got to the Mars actual atmosphere, the temperature-wise, and there is absolutely no support. If something does happen, the pilot who drove and take us there is only part-time. So if something does happen, we could be waiting 2-3 days before we actually do get any help or support. So it's going to be very, very tough on us.
And, I mean, it's called 365 because it's lasting in a complete year, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And there was another project, Mars 500, run in Russia, I believe. Is it drawing on that sort of experience, or is there anyone who worked on that coming in?
Not that I'm aware of. I've got limited information so far. I'm completely new to it, but there are some scientists who are done out in Utah who've gone out there to their desert research center and lived for a couple of weeks like it. But if anything goes wrong, it's a quick phone call, someone comes out and fixes it. With Russia, it's 500 days to see if they can live on artificial oxygen and see if people could actually survive on that. So we know we can do both. Now it's the first real test to see, can you do it unsupported?
Wow. Sorry, I've got little notes up here, just so I can kind of crib more.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, you're also a Mars One candidate, aren't you, Andy?
I have put my name forward, but I haven't heard anything else yet.
Right. So,
I'm still
you entered in the first wave, but you didn't get through to the second,
yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, how many? Do you know how many people applied to Mars 365?
It's over 200 people from 109 countries, and they've only just released 62 people that are going through to the semi-finalists, which is why my certificate's online. So I'm one of those, 24 of which are engineers. The other people are a variety of different scientists of all different descriptions who want to be part of it as well.
Wow. I mean, what's the... I mean, what are you most looking forward to? Assuming you sort of get through, because well, firstly, if I can split it down into a couple of questions,
Yeah. Okay.
What is the total crew complement, and then if I can get you to answer sort of, what tasks do you most look forward to doing there, and what do you see yourself doing mostly?
It's a crew of 6 people, 2 engineers and 4 scientists. There'll be a total of 10 people trained, though, because if someone gets ill during the years of training, because we've also got to train for a year, and the engineers need to learn the equipment we're using. If anyone gets ill, there's someone to take their place. So it's a total of 10 people in total who are going to be trained. The next stage for us at this stage is it gets broken down to 18 people. We get split into 3 groups, and the best group that work together, merge really well as a group and everything like that, then go forward to actually do the mission. And then 2 people from the other 2 groups are then selected as well as they're most compatible with the other group as well.
Right, so a big part of it is going to be the psychology then.
That's right.
How people actually cope under the isolation. I mean, how do people sort of, feel about it? Because, I mean, you've been quite open about it on Facebook and stuff. I mean, and, your friends, your family, I mean, how do they sort of, how do they sort of feel about it overall?
They think I'm absolutely nuts, to be blunt. But they're really excited for me. They think it's, being an engineer myself, they know it's a fantastic opportunity for me to do this, and they wish me all the best, and they really hope I do get through to the next stage.
Yeah.
I've got lots of support.
So, I mean, do you, I mean, with Mars Society, I mean, how long have you been, a member of that? Did you come in on Mars 365, or have you been, a member for years? And
I've been a member for about 6 months. I've been researching Mars ever since I found out that Mars 1 was going to go ahead. So I've always been just dabbling my toe in, finding out what's going on, keeping up to date with everything. But as soon as I saw this, I thought, what have I got to lose by doing it? And I thought, no, go for it and see what happens. And fortunately, I've got this far, and it's a very nice proposal of what I wanted to do when I was out there. And I think that's half the reason I got selected.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's quite something, really. I mean, Mars One seems to have sparked an awful lot of interest. I mean, I've noticed it at school. People are starting to get really quite interested in, science and space topics in general. There seems to be a bit of a kind of sea change going on at the minute. And, hopefully, I mean, you can be a part of that. I mean, I hope that there's going to be an awful lot more projects like Mars One and Mars 365. So, I mean, while you're there, do you have any plans on, how you're going to sort of reach out to people, or?
They will allow us to do live Skype chats with schools, colleges, news, and things like that. They want us to communicate as if we were on Mars. So some of the communication will do as a 20-minute delay, which is the delay from communication from Mars to Earth. But then it's 20 minutes delay to get a response. So a single conversation like this for us now would be very difficult. You should be asking a question, 20 minutes later, I get it, and then 20 minutes later you get your response.
Yeah, I think
an interview.
I mean, in some ways, I think the old ancient art of letter writing might come back with Martians and Earthlings kind of sending each other sort of video letters, and you have to kind of format them just right so that you don't waste any of your of precious bandwidth between the planets. Yeah, but and everyone's time as well, obviously, but. But my whole thesis, my whole proposal was that we've got quad bikes to drive around the 20-kilometre crater. We've got the air recycler to give us oxygen. We've got the electronics outside. How are we going to repair them actually in a spacesuit? Because we've got the big oxygen tanks on the back, so we can't lay down the ground as if we would repair a car underneath. Encumbered in your suit, you've got the oxygen tanks on your back. You won't be able to sort of reach down and service a vehicle like you would if you were sort of just in your shirt sleeves. So how do you go about doing that?
I'm going to try and design something that's easily able to lift a vehicle up so we can work underneath it and make it easy to be repairable. But I'm not sure what tools we've got available to us to make that possible, because obviously with the extra thick gloves we've got on, can we use a standard spanner?
Yeah, because I imagine it's going to be a bit like one of those, those gloves being so thick. After a while, I mean, it's going to be extremely tiring and wearing using those day in, day out. Because I mean, how do you reckon you're going to do that? Are you going to have to sort of do special exercises, build up your mitts? I mean, I'm not quite sure how you plan on mitigating that.
I think it's just sort of trial and error at this moment in time. This is why this part of the project is so important, is to discover these things and to find out what is the best way to get around these problems. My thesis I'm doing an open university course at the minute to improve my knowledge in engineering. So my thesis for my doctorate is going to be design a vehicle that is actually better suited for Mars, that is easily repairable in this sort of situation.
Wow, that's fantastic. So when are you planning on actually, doing most of the work on your thesis while you're actually on Mars 360? So, you'll be, it's an integral part, I mean, are you going to be able to do your, do your thesis if you don't get selected? I mean, what's your backup plan?
If I don't get selected for this one, I'll keep applying until I get it, until I get onto this. But it's crucial that I do go, because I get more hands-on experience of actually seeing what it's actually like, the difficulties that are there, and to find easy solutions to get around it. I've recently found out through the Open University that I'm actually very dyslexic, which has really surprised me. And what they've realised is that because the way I think and most dyslexics think is we break things down differently to how other people think, but I'm able to break things down to make them easier for people. And it's just my knack is, oh, that's my problem, right? How can I do that easier? And I come up with a very quick and easy solution. And I plan to use that in my thesis.
I mean, I think very frequently with dyslexics, we tend to think, we don't think necessarily that you have to follow a straight line path to the solution. You can find the alternative sort of linkages if one or two of them are kind of taken out. You know, you find, oh, I can't do it this way, I'll have to do it that way, and just naturally more happy at lateral thinking. I mean, I've heard that over and over again. You know, I mean, certainly with teaching and stuff, you see that all the time. But well, that's, you know, really fantastic. So, I mean, one thing I want to ask about Mars 365 is, will you be growing your own food, or are you going to have supplies brought through?
We'll have some supplies, and we will be growing some of our own as well.
All right. Will that be...
So it's a combination. Yeah. It's a combination of both, but I'm pretty sure that most of it will be... To start with, there won't be anything there, so we're going to have to start from scratch and growing our own. So it's going to take a while before we get our own. But it'll only be basic things like tomatoes, simple things you can grow in a greenhouse sort of thing.
Okay, so I mean, when you actually sort of turn up there, you've got the first sort of group of 6 of you. Are you going to be sort of helicoptered in, almost like a landing, or is it going to be sort of more like flat pack furniture and assembled there? I mean, can you describe, as best you know, how it's going to sort of be on day one?
Everything will be set up for us. They're trying to finish off the last of the repairs to the sensor at the minute, and over the next year we'll go out there. But on our first day when we get there, we'll arrive by airplane. We'll have to get off the airplane in our suits, and then from that point on, we are on our own. So anything that, as soon as we get in there, we're going to have to turn everything on, do all our safety checks, make sure everything's working, and then once we know it's all working, then we can actually get out of our spacesuits and then test the rest of the stuff.
Wow! So
it's a lot of work to do.
I mean, are you going to be on your own internal oxygen the whole time, or are you drawing oxygen from the Earth's atmosphere?
No, it's all internal oxygen.
Wow! So you are, it's not just a simulation of isolation and food production and psychology. It's actually a test of the technology required to go to Mars.
Exactly, it's everything.
Wow, and
it's this is literally the first dry run completely. If for Mars 1, this is the complete dry run with all the science.
Wow, I envy you. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love that. So it's actually built. So if if I had a satellite image or something, I might actually be able to see like the base under construction now.
The base it's been shut down for 3 years. It's been refurbished over the past year. There's still a bit more to do to it. If you can Google search the Devon Island in North Canada, I'm not sure how clear the map will be or how clear an image you can find, but there is a crater there, and it should be dead centre of that crater.
Oh wow! So I had no idea they had something up there already. I mean, I thought this was very much in the early development and planning stage, but you're telling me it's something which is being refurbished. It's being set up to accept people at the end of this year.
The plan is that in August this year, the first team of 6 people will go out for 2 weeks, then the second team, and then the third team will go out. So in 6 weeks, we will be, so during August, 1st of August onwards, we'll be using that facility for 6 weeks. It'll be fully equipped, up and running for us.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be quite an event, because, certainly based off the increased interest in space and the amount of traction even amongst one candidates, and let's face it, with over 1,000 of us, it's kind of divided up a little bit. It's been incredible the amount of interest which has turned up. National press, main TV shows and stuff. So, I mean, you're going to, as it's focused right down upon you, I mean, how are you sort of coping? I mean, have you been sort of besieged by journalists yet, or hasn't that started quite yet? Or are you keeping a low profile?
Not quite yet. Because I'm in a small village up in Peterhead, there isn't that much around here, but I've been round. I've got the local newspaper who's going to do an article for me, which should be out sometime either the end of this week or beginning next week from my local area. Then the radio station wants to do a piece, and I've contacted local TV stations and asked them. I'll also contact national TV stations and ask them. I sent the proposal to them saying that I've been selected for this. Do you want to do an interview with me? Research it, give them more details, and waiting for them to get back in touch with me. Yeah. I've also contacted my local council, Aberdeenshire Council, and said, look, I'm the only one in Scotland who's been selected for this mission. This is a huge thing. Scotland declares independence, and you want to follow on the space program. You want to do your own space program. Someone like me could really help you advertise this and give you some real information. So they want to sort of use me as sort of become a little mini celebrity in the science circle, and try and use me that way. And I've got a meeting tomorrow with the Aberdeen Council for that.
Wow. Well, every success with that. I mean, once for press, once you give them a good date once, they generally tend to share your name around, and, it's amazing. You can be called, say on BBC local radio, and then by the end of the day, you're on the 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock news. I mean, it's exactly. Funny how they kind of just go, right, we've got space today. Everyone's kind of already kind of primed on space. Let's do space stuff, and they kind of all do the same. I mean, every success with that, and yeah, I mean, it should be awesome. I mean, hopefully it would drive, the growing interest in space, and hopefully over the next few decades, you're going to be one of those which really helped propel us to, the destiny amongst the stars. So, I mean, not to, sorry, I'm being kind of like OTT, but I mean, it's really genuinely amazing. So I really do envy you doing that. Though I imagine it is also going to be very tough. I mean, it is incredibly stressful, dealing with, people in tight confines, minimal supplies. I mean, have you tried to sort of prepare yourself for hardship?
I've already been through a hell of a lot of hardship personally myself. I've been through a very tough relationship. I've ended up being alone and living on the streets for a while, and I've rebuilt my whole life. So I'm pretty sure I can deal with anything that they throw at me. So I'm not too worried about that side. My only concern and my only condition that if I do get selected is that I'm allowed to do Skype live with my daughter when I'm there. That's it. And everything else is absolutely fine. I'm not afraid of anything.
If you don't mind me asking, how old is your daughter? Oh, sorry.
She's 7. 7 in April.
Yeah, I can well understand why you want live Skype chat with that, because at that age it's so easy to kind of, a year is, it's 1/7 of their life. So, I mean, absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, she's definitely going to be very impressed with her dad on the news. So that should be, awesome. I hope she likes that.
So I'm not going to tell her yet until I get through to the final.
Well, I think that's very wise. Yeah, I mean, after all, you don't want to sort of, overpromise and, underdeliver, do you? Yeah. I mean, it's amazing you've got through to this stage, and, I really hope that Scotland has its own sort of Martian pioneer. I mean, I'm not quite sure what we're meant to call sort of, Mars 1 people and Mars 365 people. I mean, I've heard Marsonaut, I've heard astronaut, I've heard Martian. I'm not quite sure, really. What's your take? What would you like to be called?
Just I think a solar explorer would cover it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Why discriminate amongst celestial bodies?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. I mean, after all, there's a whole solar system out there, so it'd be a shame to kind of, do them down. Yeah, well, Okay, Andy. Well, I mean, I wish you every success, really. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we sign off?
Yeah, there is something. You're saying you work as a teacher at schools and things like that. There is, if you go on the Mars Society website and you find a link to MA365, Mars Society, the Mars Arctic 365 mission, there is a link on the bottom of the page for Indiegogo.
Oh, right.
And that's where we're trying to raise $100,000. Now, I've got to emphasize it is in dollars and it's US currency. And as a school, if you donate $1,500, which I think is approximately £1,200, we will do, whichever explorers are out there on site, will do a live show with the students so they can ask us directly what it's like when we're there in the Arctic.
Oh, right. Well,
I
definitely I'll pass this on to because I know I network quite a lot with different schools and stuff. So I'll pass that on to some other heads, and you never know. I mean, some of them might well be very interested in that. The school where I work at the moment is for social, emotional, and behavioural difficulties. So that's probably not quite the venue for you. But I know some really I know some schools which probably do have the means to get hold of that, and they might well open that up to a wider community as well. So,
well, if you have a look through it, and also there's a whole list of different. You can donate anything from $1 up to $12,500, depending on your finances. I'm not saying which is best for individuals. There is a thing where you can donate I think it's $100 or $1,000, and you get a picture of all six explorers who go there, and they sign it, and you get a little description about each of us. What I'm prepared to do as an added bonus for anyone who donates is if they donate $35, which is about £20, to the society, which is a baseball cap, a certificate, or saying that you donated, is if you send me a picture of you with a certificate, so I know your name and I've got a picture of you in a stamped address envelope. If I'm lucky enough to be selected, I'll get a picture of me in the spacesuit outside the facility, the unit we'd be actually living in. And when I get back, I'll get it printed off and I'll personally sign it to each person.
That would be fantastic. Maybe if you send me on, Facebook Messenger, you could just pass me the address and stuff, and I can put that in, the YouTube notes, and I can pass that on to other teachers as well. That would be awesome. Also,
for your students who've got behavioural problems, it's sort of say, well, hang on. Just because you got that doesn't mean you can't be interested in these things, and you can do a personal message to them if you want, whatever they decide or whatever you decide is best for them, to keep them interested and give them focus on what they want to achieve.
Well, absolutely. I mean, also the fact that you yourself have had quite a few difficulties in your life, and I mean, anyone who's slept on the streets has certainly experienced more hardship than most people ever experience in their lives. So. I mean, it would be a very powerful message, to have someone who has, overcome a lot to achieve, something really quite marvellous and very, much in the spirit of helping the human race develop and stuff. Very inspiring. I'd like to help you out on that.
No, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much, and I'll definitely send you all the details later on.
Well, fantastic. Well, good luck with the Scottish angle. And when do you actually know that you've been selected?
I'm guessing they haven't said when, but I'm guessing around May, June time, so we can arrange our private life so we can go there. Obviously, we'll have medical tests and everything like that done. And they're also going to be done with the Mars Society, because obviously they've got to get the results straight away. They can't wait for our doctors to send them off. And we've also got to have psychological profiles done on us to make sure we're with the best possible team. So I'm guessing around May, June time we'll find out, and then obviously we'll be shipped off and go over there and start doing the testing.
Wow. Fantastic. I mean, one thing. Well, I mean, obviously, that's an awful lot of stress and work and stuff. But I mean, you're passionate about space, and I'm sure you're willing to sort of do whatever's required. But can I just ask one little further question? I've heard an awful lot of people say in relation to Mars One and other projects that everyone will go insane and they'll all murder each other. How confident are you that they're completely wrong?
Very confident. That will only happen if they pick the wrong person who has a serious psychological problem.
Yep.
That will not happen at all, because we are trained, humans in general can adapt to any environment. And as long as you've got a good team around you, nothing like that will ever happen. And the testing and everything else you go through, you yourself know psychological profiles you can do on people these days, they ensure that is completely safe for us.
That's an excellent response. I mean, you've got you. I mean, that's exactly how I view it as well. That if you pick them well, they'll be fine. And in actual fact, I believe that people are tougher than some people would have us believe. And I wish you well, in your endeavours, and touch wood that you're selected, and we have a Scottish candidate. I always like to see a Celtic link to the stars.